Welcome back to another episode of Week in Review. This week we'll take a look at the 3.2.1 live patch, 3.6 roadmap and more, so with that said, let's get started. At number 7, we have the 3.2.1 live update. 3.2.1 finally hit the live servers this week after 6 PTU patches were released. Changes include FPS balance, a reduced mission spawn timer, improved ship claim, refuel and repair pricing, and a host of changes for manned and remote turrets. This comes in alongside over 50 bug fixes and a number of client and server crashes and disconnects. 3.2.1 is a general quality of life release, but it's fixed some of the bigger issues plaguing citizens. That said, there's still a way to go, with many bugs still appearing in the latest patch, so we'll see whether CIG decides to release another one or move full focus to 3.3. At number 6, we have ship sales. This week sees the RSI Apollo remain on sale, with all variants still available. If you'd like to know more about it, you can check out my video here, and CitizenCon tickets will also remain on sale, with both standard and co-pilot tickets remaining on the store. It's currently unknown when these will be removed, so grab yours while you can. At number 5, we have the roadmap update. This week sees major roadmap changes after CIG accidentally published their revision early. CIG claims this isn't the final version and was released in error, so instead of covering it this week, we'll take a look at what's coming in Alpha 3.6 as it currently appears on the roadmap. The Com Array revision finds itself moved to the location section of 3.6 alongside refineries, further fleshing out mining gameplay and getting the ball rolling for data runners. The gameplay section is now the home of the land claim system, one of my most anticipated features, which I'm sad to see pushed so far back. It also includes the repair bot, the refuel and repair mechanics, liquid and gas exploration, expanded cargo, data running, and long-range scanning. If other patches are anything to go by, we likely won't see this much content actually make its way to the patch, but we'll get a better idea closer to the time. AI improves on the combat AI, adding combat styles to both FPS and flight AIs. I'm not sure entirely what they mean by this, but I'm sure we'll find out in the coming weeks. The Maxox Neutron Repeater and Klaus & Werner Lumin 5 fill out the weapons section, with these 2 new pistols planned to make their way to 3.6. And finally, we see server meshing, cloud tech, and the infamous performance optimization in the Cortex section of the 3.6 release. This looks to be an interesting release, but as we're learning, it's far too early to tell which of these features might actually make their way to the 3.6 release come July 2019. Let me know in the comments below what your favourite 3.6 feature is so far. At number 4, we have lore content. This week's lore content presents episode 3 of the Knowledge of Good and Evil series. I've personally been following the series and I'm thoroughly enjoying it. I won't spoil anything for those of you who haven't read it, but the first 3 installments can all be found for free on the RSI website. I'll link them below and strongly encourage you check them out. At number 3, we have Around the Verse. This week's ATV continues the new format, giving us an update on the changes happening in the verse. The Scramble race continues to be developed, working to further flesh out the mechanics. There's a space version and a ground version of this weapon-free beacon collection race. It allows up to 16 players to join at once, working against each other to collect the beacons. Ship item rental systems are being built out in-game for Star Marine and Arena Commander. This is a great first step to see in-game ship purchasing appear in the verse. Derelict ships around the verse are being rebuilt into object containers and having new graphic effects such as fog added to improve their overall feel and ready them for the upcoming Cortex rework. The 300i continues to be reconcepted ahead of its rework. Images were shown of some of these new designs, which you can see here, and the design hopes to keep the silhouette the same while updating the size and features found within. It's moving much more in line with the style of Origin, which we can see in the 600i and 890 jump designs. The audio team is working on physicalized audio, improving overall sounds for many objects found in the game. PU delivery lockers are being worked out by various teams. There will be a place to drop off mission items, pick up items you've purchased, and more. Some concept art shows the mass transit system found on Lorville. This is likely the reason we see transit systems make their way to the 3.3 roadmap this week, but we'll hear more next week about these changes. The Hurston security checkpoints are being whiteboxed at the moment, currently being designed for Lorville. Unlike the Armistice Zone, you won't be allowed to enter an area if you're carrying certain restricted or illegal items, giving you the option to give them up or refuse and face the consequences. There may be ways to circumvent these systems in the future, allowing you to smuggle restricted goods into certain areas. The utilitarian HABs began their whiteboxing phase and are being prepared for modularity, AI, etc. That's all for ATV this week. Hurston continues to be fleshed out, and some of the work for Lorville is making it all the more exciting as it progresses. At number 2, we have Reverse the Verse. This week's RTV features Jared and Will Weisbaum, lead writer for CIG, playing Star Citizen together. The hour-long play session involved these two commenting on development for the game, which we'll cover here. They were also joined by Adam and Dave from the lore team, who joined via voice chat. The lore team are heavily involved in the mission creation, helping to mesh mechanics and ideas and making them fit with the lore. Recent work has involved moving missions to a more dynamic and procedural system to avoid the need for devs to create each mission by hand. The lore team has considered producing comics, etc., but they're currently happy with the novella and Jump Point magazines they already produce. Many of the corporations in the game are old, as they've been buying up smaller companies and building quality ships for the many years they've been operating. There are some newer companies coming up, and Consolidated Outland is one such example of this. There's currently no plans to add real-world companies into the game due to potential issues with reputation, defamation, etc. Usually, the artists allow the procedural system to generate the planet before performing a design pass on it. This gives them something to start with, rather than having to go completely from scratch every time. Usually, the lore team will leave the older content unless it's very outdated or no longer relevant. They try to keep content as vague as possible so they don't push designers into a corner in terms of game mechanics. And that's all for RTV this week. Overall, a quiet episode of Jared and Co just playing games, but some interesting information nonetheless. And finally, at number 1, we have the community overview. The community is rightfully confused and annoyed this week with the accidental release of the roadmap changes. These were poorly communicated and we've had little to clarify from CIG. I'm sure they'll clear things up in the coming week, but players remain annoyed while we remain unsure of how things are going to play out. That's all from me for this week. Like if you liked it, get subscribed, and drop me a comment letting me know what you thought. I'll see you in next week's episode of Week in Review.